Harlen Foster's fingers tightened around the handle of the stroller as the toddler strapped inside wailed at full volume, his face red and sticky with dried apple juice. "Gavin, buddy, please," Harlen muttered under his breath, rocking the stroller back and forth in a desperate rhythm as the TSA line crept forward at a snail's pace. The people around them either gave him sympathetic smiles or annoyed glares, mostly the latter. A woman in a tailored black coat brushed past him, wheeling a sleek silver carry-on with practiced precision. She smelled expensive, something floral yet sharp, and moved like she was late for a private jet, not a commercial flight. She was the picture of calm until she dropped her phone. It hit the tile with a sharp clack, skidding a few feet in front of her. She didn't notice. Harlen leaned forward, scooped it up with one hand, and jogged after her, maneuvering the stroller with the other. "Hey, miss, you dropped this." The woman turned just before he reached her. Her dark hair was pulled into a low bun, and her eyes, sharp, striking, and clearly not used to being approached, landed on him, then the phone in his hand. "Oh," she said, surprised. "Thank you. No problem." It was about to get stomped by about 50 people, Harlen said, glancing at the chaos behind them. Gavin squealed again. "Sorry, he's just tired." Her gaze drifted to the kid. "How old?" 2.5, and apparently already hates airports. A soft laugh escaped her. It was the first break in her polished, untouchable exterior. "I feel the same way." "Yeah, well, at least you're not carrying snacks, diapers, and a dinosaur backpack," Harlen joked, shifting the bag on his shoulder. "You got the better deal," she smiled, and for a second, her eyes lingered on him. Not in the way people usually looked at a struggling single dad, either with pity or judgment, but with something that felt like curiosity. "You're flying alone with him?" she asked. "Yeah, my sitter bailed last minute. Had to bring him with me. My sister's picking us up in Chicago." He paused, then added, "Sorry, I didn't mean to hold you up." "You're not," she hesitated. "Actually, you saved me. That phone has everything on it." "I figured." "You looked like someone important." She gave a small, amused shake of her head. "I try not to be." Before he could say anything, Gavin flung his pacifier onto the floor with the precision of someone who knew it would cause trouble. Harlen groaned. "Gavin, come on, man." He bent to grab it, but the woman was faster. She crouched, picked it up, and handed it to him. "Here," he stared at her. "You really didn't have to, I wanted to," she said simply. Their boarding group was called over the intercom, and without thinking, he turned to her. "You flying to Chicago too?" "I am." "Look, I know we're strangers and this is probably weird, but any chance you'd want to switch seats with me?" He gave her a sheepish smile. "I'm in the back row." Gavin always kicks the seat in front of him. It's like a game to him. She raised a brow. "What row are you in?" 32D. "I'd owe you one. I'm in first class." He blinked. "Oh, yeah, okay, definitely not asking you to trade that. Forget I said anything." But then she said something he didn't expect. "Come with me." "What? I'll have the flight attendant bring you up." "He can sit on your lap, you'll have space, quiet, and I can help." He stared at her, stunned. "Why would you do that? You don't even know me." She looked at Gavin now, dozing off with his head tilted sideways and then back at Harlen. "Because you look like you're doing everything alone. And maybe today you don't have to." Harlen didn't know what to say. For the first time in months, he felt like someone saw him. "Thank you," he said, his voice lower. "Seriously." "I'm Elise Garrison," she said, extending her hand. "Harlen Foster," he replied, shaking it. Her hand was warm. Steady, and for some reason, letting go felt harder than it should have. The first-class seat felt like a throne compared to the cramped rows in economy. Gavin curled up in Harlen's lap, finally calm, while a flight attendant handed him sparkling water and a blanket. Elise sat beside him, crossing her legs effortlessly, her laptop open on the tray table. "You didn't have to do this," he said again. "I know," she replied, not looking up, "but I'm glad you did." This time she glanced at him. "So am I." They didn't talk much during the flight, but there was something about the silence that didn't feel awkward, just comfortable. When they landed, Elise gathered her things quickly. Harlen shifted Gavin into the stroller. "Let me buy you coffee," he said suddenly. "To say thank you," she hesitated. "I have a meeting." "Right, of course," he said quickly. "No worries. But I have 10 minutes, he smiled. "Then I'll make it the best coffee of your life." They sat across from each other at the terminal cafe, paper cups between them. Gavin was munching on a cookie, finally quiet. So what do you do? Harlen asked. Elise looked at him for a moment, then said, I run a company. He raised a brow. Oh yeah, what kind? Tech, we build software for businesses. I started it 10 years ago with 2 people in a garage, he laughed. That sounds like the origin story of someone who now gets invited to speak at conferences, she shrugged. Sometimes. Wait, you're not Elise Garrison from Garrison Tech, her smile widened. I am, Harlen blinked, stunned. You're kind of a big deal. And you're kind of a great dad, she replied. He looked down, flustered. I don't know about that. I do. They stared at each other for a beat too long. Something shifted in the air between them. Are you flying back soon? He asked, his voice careful. I'll be in Chicago for a few weeks, she said. His heart beat a little faster. Maybe I could buy you dinner instead of just coffee, she smiled, and this time it reached her eyes. I'd like that. Harlen tugged Gavin's tiny sneakers onto his feet while keeping an eye on the entrance of the bistro. The toddler squirmed in the high chair, reaching for the sugar packets with intense determination. Hey, buddy, Harlen said, sliding them out of reach. Let's not destroy the table before she gets here, okay? Gavin huffed but settled with a breadstick. Harlen straightened, brushing flour off his jeans. He hadn't owned a blazer in years, and his button-down was wrinkled despite being ironed that morning. But at least the restaurant, small, warm, tucked into the corner of Lincoln Park, was the nicest place he could afford without dipping into next month's rent. The bell over the door gave a soft chime. Elise stepped in, wrapped in a soft gray coat, her hair down this time, falling past her shoulders in waves. She scanned the room once before her eyes landed on him. A smile lifted her lips, not forced or polite, genuine. You clean up well, she said as she approached. Harlen chuckled. I did my best, you look. He stopped because everything he thought of sounded like a line, and Elise didn't seem like the type who bought into lines. You look like you don't belong in this place, he finished. Is that a compliment or a warning? Depends how the night goes. She laughed, pulling off her coat and hanging it on the back of her chair. Gavin waved at her with a breadstick. She waved back. He remembers you, Harlen said, settling into his seat. He has excellent taste. The server arrived with menus, delaying their conversation. Elise glanced over hers once, then set it aside. I trust you, she said. That could be dangerous. I'm a decent judge of character. He studied her for a moment, then said, Why'd you agree to this? She leaned forward, folding her hands on the table. Because I wanted to. That's simple. I don't usually do this, she said. But you're not usual. Harlen raised a brow. Is that a compliment or a warning? She smiled again, slower this time. When the food arrived, Gavin was already dozing off in his high chair. Elise eyed the plate of roasted chicken and vegetables in front of her. Did you cook this? I wish. My sister runs the kitchen here. She owed me a favor. I like that you have connections, she said, then took a bite. Her expression warmed. This is incredible, Harlen grinned. Then I'll take all the credit. Conversation flowed easily now. Elise asked about Gavin, his favorite books, his strange hatred for oranges, the way he sometimes shouted noodle at random strangers. Harlen asked about her first job stocking shelves in a hardware store and her second, which involved cold calling companies to sell software she hadn't finished coding yet. You're not what I expected, he said as he refilled her water. And what did you expect? Someone colder, sharper, less. He paused, searching for the right word. Human? I was going to say kind. She looked at him thoughtfully. Being successful doesn't mean being heartless. No, but it usually comes with walls. I've spent most of my adult life building things. Companies, systems, teams. But sometimes I think I forgot how to let anyone build something with me. He leaned forward. You think that's changing? I'm here, aren't I? He nodded, swallowing the emotion rising in his throat. Yeah, you are. The check came, but Elise reached for her coat instead of the bill. Let me take care of it, Harlen said quickly. You already did, she replied, sliding her card into the leather folder before he could stop her. This was perfect. They stepped into the night. The air was crisp, the street lamps casting golden halos on the sidewalk. Harlen pushed the stroller gently, Gavin asleep and snoring softly. Can I walk you to your car? He asked. I took a car service. Of course you did, he said with a laugh. I didn't want to risk parking in heels. I get that. I wore sneakers in case I had to chase Gavin through traffic. They walked in silence for a block, the city humming quietly around them. "I've got to ask," Harlan said. "What's it really like, being the one calling the shots?" She glanced sideways at him. "Lonely, but also powerful. You stop waiting for someone else to say yes. You become the one who decides." He nodded. "I used to be a contractor, had my own team. We built custom furniture for clients. Then my wife got sick. I had to sell the business." Her steps slowed. "I didn't know. I don't talk about it much. But I figured if you're sharing pieces of your life, I should too." Elise stopped walking. He turned to face her. "I'm sorry," she said, and her voice was soft but steady. "That must have been devastating." "It was, it still is, but I've got Gavin. He keeps me grounded." She reached out, brushing a thread off his coat. "You're doing better than grounded, Harlan." They stood like that for a beat too long. The space between them charged. Her car pulled up, headlights cutting across the sidewalk. "I should go," she said, her voice quieter now. He nodded. "Will I see you again?" "That depends." "On what?" "On whether you ask." He stepped forward, careful not to wake Gavin. "Have dinner with me again. No favors, no thank yous, just us." She smiled, and this time it was tinged with something deeper. "Hope, maybe." "I'd love that." Harlan adjusted the collar of his shirt as he stood outside the towering glass building in River North, craning his neck to take in the full height of Garrison Tech's headquarters. He'd never seen an office lobby with a chandelier before. Not one like this hand-blown crystal, dripping light over a marble floor so polished it reflected back his sneakers with disappointing clarity. He shifted Gavin from one hip to the other. The toddler blinked up at the ceiling and whispered, "Shiny." "Yep," Harlan muttered. "Way shinier than we're used to." The receptionist behind the sleek white desk smiled at them. "Mr. Foster, Miss Garrison is finishing a call. You can head up. 18th floor." Gavin clutched the strap of Harlan's bag as they stepped into the elevator. As the floor numbers ticked upward, Harlan exhaled slowly. This wasn't like grabbing dinner at a neighborhood spot or bumping into someone at the airport. This was her world, and he was stepping right into the middle of it. The doors opened to a quiet hallway lined with frosted glass offices, and Elise appeared from a corner, her hair pulled back, heels clicking softly against the floor. She wore a navy blouse and slate trousers that probably cost more than everything Harlan owned, but the moment she saw him, her face lit up not in a practiced, professional way, but like someone actually happy to see him. "Hey," she said, her voice softer than usual. "I'm glad you came." "I told you I would," Harlan said, "though I think Gavin's more interested in the elevator than me right now." Gavin pointed at a nearby plant and declared, "Tree." Elise crouched in front of him. "Almost very close." Harlan watched her carefully. "You sure it's okay for us to be here? I don't want to throw off your day." "You're not," she said, rising again. "I cleared my calendar for the next hour. I wanted to show you something." She led them through double doors into a space unlike anything Harlan expected. It wasn't a conference room or a showroom. It was a sunlit work area with floor-to-ceiling windows, filled with scattered prototypes, open laptops, and sketches pinned to corkboards. "This is where we build," Elise said, gesturing around. "The heart of the company." Harlan set Gavin down, watching as he toddled toward a corner filled with oversized beanbags and whiteboards covered in colorful scribbles. "You know he's going to draw on something important, right?" Harlan said. "That's what we keep the interns for," she replied, then paused, her expression softening. "I wanted you to see this because I don't let many people in here, but I figured if we're doing this, whatever this is, it shouldn't just be dinner and small talk." Harlan leaned against a table. "So you're showing me your world." Elise looked out the window, then back at him. "I guess I am." He studied her, the way her posture straightened when she was nervous, how she kept her hands clasped in front of her when she didn't have a laptop or coffee cup to hold. "What are you afraid of me seeing?" She met his gaze. "That it matters to me, that this isn't just a company. I built it when I had nothing else. It's wrapped up in who I am." "And you think I wouldn't get that?" "I think I'm used to people pretending they do." Harlan stepped closer. "I used to spend weeks building one chair, hand-carved everything. People thought I was nuts, said I could make more money with prefab kits, but I didn't care, because when someone sat in that chair and smiled like it belonged to them, I knew I'd done something right." Elise's expression changed quiet, but not unreadable now, more like someone who finally understood she wasn't alone on the mountaintop. "I didn't bring you here to impress you," she said. "I brought you here because I wanted to share it with someone who wouldn't ask what my exit strategy is." "I didn't even know what that meant until just now." She laughed, the sound echoing off the glass with something close to relief. Gavin returned, dragging a soft cube behind him and announcing, "Big pillow." Harlen picked him up with one arm and turned back to Elise. "So, what's next? You tell me," she said. "We've been trading pieces of our lives. I think it's time I see your world." "You sure?" "Because my world involves juice spills, late-night grocery runs, and a backyard swing I still haven't fixed." "Perfect," she said. They left the office together, Elise holding the door while Harlen balanced Gavin on his hip. Outside, the city buzzed with late-afternoon energy people in suits, ride-shares pulling up, horns in the distance. "You free Friday?" Harlen asked. I was thinking, maybe you and I could take Gavin to the lake. There's this spot near Montrose Beach, quiet. You can actually hear the water," Elise nodded. "That sounds perfect." He hesitated, then added, "I don't want to move too fast. I know your life is busy, complicated." "So is yours," she said. "But that doesn't mean it can't matter." They stood in the shadow of her building, city noise around them, but the moment felt still, solid. "I wasn't expecting this," he said. "Neither was I," she replied. "But I'm not running from it." As her car pulled up again, Harlen leaned down and kissed her cheek, not hurried, not uncertain. Just a quiet promise that whatever this was, he was in. She stepped into the car, but her eyes stayed on him until it pulled away. Gavin tugged on his shirt. "More big pillows. Not today, buddy, but maybe soon." He looked down the street where Elise had disappeared, then toward the sun dipping behind the skyline. "Yeah," Harlen said under his breath. "Maybe real soon." A warm breeze rolled off Lake Michigan as Harlen adjusted the picnic blanket beneath him, Gavin asleep in the stroller beside him with a thin hoodie pulled over his head. The sun was crawling low on the horizon, painting the water in shades of gold and lavender. Seagulls wheeled lazily overhead, and behind them, the Chicago skyline stood proud, distant, and quiet. Elise sat cross-legged across from Harlen, her shoes kicked off, her toes buried in the cool grass. Her blazer was folded beside her, and she wore a soft gray tee that clung to her in the breeze. It was the most relaxed he'd ever seen her, hair loose, eyes half-lidded as she traced the rim of her plastic cup. "I used to come here in the early days," she said. "Back when the company was barely paying the electricity bill. I'd sit on this hill and make myself believe I was building something that mattered." "You were," Harlen said, watching her. "I didn't know that then. I just knew I was tired of being underestimated." "I get that," he said. "You want to prove them all wrong." She looked at him. "You already did, didn't you?" He shrugged. "I'm still in the middle of it." They fell into a pause, the kind that felt more like punctuation than silence. Elise reached over and picked up a small cooler, unzipping it to reveal a surprise. 2 carefully wrapped slices of cake from a Southside bakery she'd insisted he try. "I remembered you said you haven't had real dessert in months," she said, handing him one. "I didn't think you were listening." "I always listen," she said. He took a bite and his eyes widened. "This is ridiculous." Elise grinned. "Told you." They ate slowly, watching the lake shift under the fading light. "So," she said, wiping a crumb from her cheek, "I've been thinking. That sounds dangerous." "Maybe," she said, "but I want to ask you something." He set his fork down. "Okay, I know things have moved fast, but I also know myself, and I know when something is real. I've spent most of my life surrounded by people who say what they think I want to hear. You've never done that." "I don't know how," he said. "I just say what's in my gut." "Good," she said, "because this is in mine." She pulled something out of her bag, a keycard on a matte black lanyard. She handed it to him. He stared at it. "What's this?" "An office, a space on the north side of our building. It's private. You could use it to rebuild, whatever you want." He blinked. "Are you offering me a job?" "I'm offering you a place to start," she said. "No strings." "You said you used to build furniture. I know some people who'd pay a fortune for custom pieces. I'll fund the space for a year. After that, it's yours if you want it." He stared at her, stunned. "You do that for me." "I'd do it for myself," she said. Because I believe in people who build things with their hands, and I believe in you. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached for her hand, threading his fingers through hers. I didn't expect you, he said. But now I can't imagine any of this without you in it. Her eyes softened. Then don't. The wind picked up slightly, rustling the grass, and Gavin stirred in his stroller without waking. Harlen leaned closer to her. I've only said this once before, he said. But I need to say it again. I love you. Elise's breath caught softly. I love you too. He kissed her then, slow and anchored, the lake stretching wide behind them. It wasn't rushed or uncertain. It was the kind of kiss that felt like home. When they pulled back, Elise rested her forehead against his. I want a life with you. The mess, the noise, the late nights. I want all of it. You sure about that? He asked, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. Because Gavin just learned how to open cereal boxes and dump them on the floor. I'm not scared of cereal, she whispered. I'm scared of missing this. They sat like that until the sun dipped below the skyline. When Gavin finally stirred and blinked up at them, Elise reached for him without hesitation, lifting him into her lap. He blinked at her sleepily. You stay, Elise kissed his forehead. Always. Weeks later, Elise stood barefoot on the hardwood floor of a sunlit workshop, watching Harlen guide a polished oak frame into place. He moved with calm precision, sleeves rolled, hands steady. Gavin sat nearby with a box of crayons and a stack of paper, babbling happily. The space buzzed with quiet energy. The walls were lined with his early designs, and the scent of pine and varnish filled the air. Elise set a latte beside him and leaned against the work table. You're booked for custom orders through September, she said. You're officially in demand. Harlen looked up, sweat on his brow. Guess I should hire some help. Already posted the listing, she said. I might have used words like visionary and master craftsman. He laughed, walking over and pulling her in by the waist. You're dangerous with a keyboard. She tilted her chin up, eyes gleaming. You love it. I love you. They kissed again, the kind of kiss that didn't need a reason or a promise, just presence. Outside, the city moved on, loud and alive. But in that space, in their space, everything finally made sense. And for the first time in a long time, Harlen Foster wasn't just surviving. He was building something that would last. The scent of fresh lemon and rosemary drifted through the open windows of the Evanston house, as Elise carefully folded a linen napkin and placed it beside the last place setting. The dining room table, now extended to its full length, gleamed under the soft glow of the pendant lights. A bouquet of late spring peonies sat in a vase at the center, their petals a vibrant pink against the soft, neutral tones of the room. Gavin's laughter echoed from the backyard, where Harlen was helping him stack smooth river rocks into a lopsided tower. Every few minutes, Gavin would shout, taller, as Harlen obediently added another, even more precarious stone. Elise stepped onto the porch barefoot, holding 2 glasses of sparkling elderflower lemonade. I think the Leaning Tower of Pebbles is about to reach its engineering limit, she said, handing Harlen a glass. He took it, brushing a kiss against her temple. We're doing field research, structural integrity of backyard materials. Very serious stuff. Clearly, she said, smiling as Gavin's tower collapsed in a dramatic clatter and the boy collapsed with it, laughing on the grass. Harlen crouched beside him. Let's take a break, champ. Dinner's almost ready. Gavin sprang up and darted for the porch steps. Elise caught him before he could barge into the kitchen with dirt-covered feet. Shoes off, she said gently. He wiggled out of them and ran inside, calling for his favorite seat. Harlen followed, wiping his hands on a towel tucked into his waistband. You sure we're ready for this? Elise glanced back at him. You mean dinner with your sister, my coup, and a 4-year-old who thinks Lego pieces are acceptable appetizers. What could possibly go wrong? He grinned. I just want tonight to go well. It will. Because it's ours. The doorbell rang. Harlen opened it to reveal his sister, Nora, holding a bottle of wine in one hand and a potted succulent in the other. I brought a plant. Because flowers die and I'm practical. Behind her, Elise's chief operating officer, Sandra, stepped up in a crisp pea coat, her expression unreadable but her eyes curious. Come in, Elise said warmly. Make yourselves at home. As they settled around the table, Gavin launched into a detailed retelling of his rock tower's collapse. Nora listened intently, offering appropriately dramatic gasps while Sandra leaned back, quietly observing. Midway through the meal, Sandra set down her fork. "I'll admit, Elise, I didn't expect to be eating rosemary chicken with you in a house like this." Elise glanced up. "Why not?" "Because you used to work until midnight every night and refused to use the word vacation." Harlen looked over, eyebrow raised. Elise didn't flinch. "I still work hard. But now I know what I'm working toward." Sandra's gaze shifted to Harlen. "And you're good with that?" "I'm good with her," Harlen said without hesitation. Sandra nodded slowly, then turned back to her plate. "Fair enough." Later, after dessert and goodbyes and Gavin tucked in with his favorite blanket, Elise found Harlen on the back deck, the night warm around them. "She grilled me," Harlen said, not looking up from the stars. "I know. She grilled me after our second investor meeting too." He reached for her hand. "I think it actually went well. She said you're the first person who's ever made me laugh during a board call." Harlen chuckled. "I'll take that as high praise." They sat quietly for a while, the only sounds the rustle of leaves and the distant hum of passing cars. "Elise," he said, turning toward her, "I've been thinking." She tilted her head. "Dangerous. I want to make this official, all of it. Not just the house or the business space or the dinners. Us." She went still, her eyes fixed on his. "I don't have a ring yet," he said, "but I will. And when I do, I'm going to ask you to marry me because I want to do every part of life with you. The hard days, the quiet ones, the messy mornings, all of it." She didn't answer right away. Instead, she stood, walked a few steps away, then turned back, eyes glinting with something fierce and tender. "I already said yes," she said. "I said it when I let you into my world. I said it when I chose to stay for a picnic at the lake instead of flying back to New York for a pitch meeting. I've been saying yes since the moment you handed me my phone at the airport." He crossed to her, hands at her waist. "Then I'll keep showing up, every day. Until we're old and gray and arguing about where to plant tomatoes." She leaned in and kissed him. Not softly, not shyly, but like someone who wasn't just in love but safe in it. They stayed like that for a long time, the city stretching out behind them, the night wrapping around their shoulders like a shared promise. 2 years later, Elise stood in the middle of the new studio, watching Gavin carefully sign his name in wet cement at the threshold. The space was bigger now, with tall windows and hand-built shelving. The waiting list for Harlen's pieces was booked through the next spring. Elise had stepped back from the day-to-day at Garrison Tech, now serving as board chair and mentor for new startups. Sandra ran operations. Nora managed commissions for the studio. Their worlds had blended not perfectly but beautifully. A soft breeze blew through the open door. Harlen walked in, brushing plaster dust off his arm. "Ready to head home?" he asked. Elise nodded, wrapping her arms around his neck. "Always." They walked out together, Gavin skipping ahead toward the car parked beneath a blooming tree. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows behind them. But they didn't look back. They had everything they needed in front of them.